rises from the looms and forges. Common men with weapons crude and plain, 5 feet of oak with iron at the end. A bleeding turn to death upon the plain. Hood and dag we whisper in the street. Show your tongue, betray your foreign speech. Answer wrong and meet the spike staff. Good day, my lord, your final day to breathe. Good day, we say to all who ride against us. Good day to every noble knight and lord. Good day to those who thought that common men could never face a horseman with a sword. At Courtrai the golden spurs will scatter. Knights in mail sink into muddy ground. The phalanx folds pike, hood and dag and pavies. 600 nobles dead without a sound. Good day we say to all who ride against us. Good day to every noble knight and lord. Good day to those who thought that common men could never face a horseman with a sword. July 11, 1302, the Flemish holiday of blood. Shelt and of rent, shield and friend, speak it right or die in mud. Tame the weavers and the craftsmen. They came in steel and silk and borrowed pride. But Flanders keeps its gold and spurs as trophies, and buries those who came to take our lives. Good day we say to all who ride against us. Good day to every noble knight and lord. Good day to those who thought that common men could never face a horseman with a sword. Remember Courtrai when you come for Flanders. Remember what a good day to remain. Gudenda, 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 Gududa, the breeding that means die.
The Capitan line fails. Charles the Fourth lies cold without an heir. Through Isabella's blood the English king prevails. Grandson of Philip, rightful claim to bear. But France will not accept a foreign lord. Salic law they cite to bar his way. Philip of Valois sees his throne by sword. The crown belongs to Edward, come what may. He kneels and falls homage, biding his time. Aquitaine contested, Flanders in decline. The pieces fall in place. The cause aligns by blood of Cain. kings, this claim is lawful. By every ancient right, the throne is his. No Valois hand can hold what was not given. And Edward means to take back what is his. 1337, he renounces Valois. No more false homage, no more bended knee. I am King of France, he stakes it in his name. The lilies and the leopards flying free. Flanders stands with him, the wool trade flows to England. Balliol pledges Scotland to his cause. Gascony and Normandy, Brittany and wasteland, all will bow before the rightful French laws. The papal court condemns, but he won't yield. His mother's bloodline gives him rightful claim. Let Philip try to hold what was not his to wield. By blood of capit kings, this claim is lawful. By blood of capit kings, this claim is lawful. By every ancient right, the throne is his. No Valois hand can hold what was not given. And Edward means to take back what is his. 100 years of war begin this day. Philip thinks his armies will suffice, but English steel and longbow find their way, and Valois pride will pay the final price. By blood of capit kings, this claim is lawful. By every ancient right, the throne is his. No Valois hand can hold what was not given. And Edward means to take back what is his. The war begins. The war begins. I am Edward, third of England's name, and I will have the French crown that I claim. The war begins. The war begins.
When this Jody tide, French fleet lies at anchor chained side by side. Philip's armada blocks the Flemish shore. 400 ships await the English shore. Edward sees the trap but sails ahead. The sun behind him, wind and fortune spread. They cannot flee their chains, they cannot run. The slaughter starts before the day is done. Longbows on the decks, arrows black the sky. French sailors fall like rain with nowhere left to fly. The water of this wind ran red that day. 60,000 Frenchmen washed away. The channel belongs to England now. Philip lost his navy, lost his brow. Ship to ship they board, then steal on wooden deck. Knights in armor drowning, sinking by the neck. Chained together, dragged down by their mail. This wind becomes a graveyard, English arrows hail. For weeks the bodies drift upon the shore. France will never rule these waters more. One jester dared to tell his grieving king, our brave French soldiers love their bathing. The Channel road to Normandy lies clear. The path to France is open, have no fear. The water of the Zwin ran red that day. 16,000 Frenchmen washed away. The Channel belongs to England now. Philip lost his navy, lost his prow. Control the seas, control the war. Invasion routes secured once more. From Dover Strait to Norman sand, the tide turns toward the promised land. The water of the Zwin ran red that day. 60,000 Frenchmen washed away. The Channel belongs to England now, and England's war has only just begun. Bodies floating in the Zwin. England's century has now begun. August 26, 1346. Northern France, the fields of Crecy wait. Edward's army digs into the muddy ground. 15,000 face a grain of fate. Archers form their lines, free battle stand. Philip's cavalry, 30,000 strong, charging up the hill to take this land. The Genoese crossbows fire first and fall. Our longbows answer with a deadly call. 300 arrows rising, then they fall. On the fields of Crecy, arrows fall like rain. Noble blood runs freely down the plain. 15 charges broken, horses screaming. French chivalry will never ride again. They charge the waiting lines. 15 times the horses scream and die. Barking points punch through their armor plates. Lights and steel drag down where they lie. The Black Prince holds the right, just 16 years. His father watching from the windmill high. Let the boy earn his spurs this day, while French nobility comes there to die. King John of Bohemia, blind but proud, ties his reins to his knights and rising to the crowd. On the fields of Crecy, arrows fall like rain. Noble blood runs freely down the plain. 15 charges broken, horses screaming, and nothing in this war will be the same. Of nights is ending here. The common man has learned to fight. Crecy proves what all men fear. The old ways die tonight. I am a longbowman, this is my craft. I am a longbowman. England's draft, I learned to kill as I learned to pray, and I will turn the French away. I am a longbowman. 7 years old when the training begins. Pull the string back, feel the yew wood bend. By law every man must practice the bow, Sunday after church until the light grows low. 6 feet of yew, 100 pounds of draw, muscles built from childhood, fingers raw, cloth yard shafts with bodkin points of steel. This is how a common man learns what kings must feel. My father's hands were bent the same as mine, his father's before him down the line. I am a longbowman, this is my craft. I am a longbowman. England's draft, I learned to kill as I learned to pray, and I will turn the French away. I am a longbowman. Stand in formation, stakes before our feet. Wait for the thunder of the cavalry's beat. String pull to ear, we let fly as one. 1,000 arrows and the work is done. Bodkin points punch through the plate and mail. Horses scream, another French attack will fail. Draw and send, and draw and send again. This is how a common man outlasts a noble man. They never learned our names, they never will. We are the wind that blows across the hill. I am a longbowman, this is my craft. I am a longbowman. England's draft I learned to kill as I learned to pray, and I will turn the French away. I am a longbow. They said a night was worth 10 men on foot. We proved them wrong at Crecy, proved it true. Born as peasants, raised on English soil, now we decide who lives by honest toil. The jaw that breaks a lesser man, the aim perfected over years. The sound of thousands letting fly together is the last thing that a horseman hears. I am a longbowman, this is my craft. I am a longbowman. England's draft I learned to kill as I learned to pray, as the French will learn today. I am a longbowman. I am a longbowman, this is my only craft. I am a longbowman.
September heat, 1356. The Black Prince raids through southern France. His chevauchée burns the countryside, but John II sees his chance. 8,000 English, tired and worn, against the French king's mighty host. Outnumbered, trapped near Poitiers town, the prince prepares to pay the cost. But these men have fought such odds before, stakes and longbows, nothing more.
The Black Prince earned his name at Poitiers field, where French chivalry at last was forced to yield. King John himself was taken in the rout, and England learned what Edward was about.
The French dismount, they learn from Crecy's hell. They come on foot through heat in heavy plate, but arrows find the gaps between the seams, and English axes seal the royal fate. The Dauphin flees, young Charles slips away, but brave King John plants both feet on the ground. Father, father, cries young Philip there, as English soldiers quietly gather round. A king in chains, the greatest prize, a son who would not leave his father's side.
The Black Prince earned his name at Poitiers field, where French chivalry at last was forced to yield. King John himself was taken in the rout, and England learned what Edward was about.
3 million crowns to buy the king back home. France bleeds gold across a decade span. The Black Prince carries John to London's throne, and treats his captive like a gentleman. The flower of French nobility lies still. Their sovereign sits in London, England's guest. 10 years of raids and arrows on the hill, and now the English finally know what's best.
From Crecy Crecy's field to Poitiers' muddy ground, the longbow brought the greatest kingdom low. Two kings have learned that English arrows find the gaps that pride and heavy armor show. The Black Prince earned his name at Poitiers' field, where French chivalry at last was forced to yield. King John himself was taken in the rout, and Edward's son proved what a prince is about. From Crecy's field to Poitiers' ground, English arrows bring great kingdoms down.
1360, the ink is drying now. 23 years of blood and burning flame. Edward signs away his claim to France and keeps the land he won through so much pain. 3 million crowns to free King John from chains. But a bard can tell you peace like this never remains. They called it peace that year in northern France, but every man who signed it knew the truth, that what was won by longbow and by blood cannot be kept by ink and borrowed youth. King John returns to Paris, broken man, his son held hostage. Louis breaks his word, so John goes back to London, dies in chains, his honor worth far more than life deferred. Du Guesclin waits in France with patient sword, and everything the longbow won will crumble to its lord. They called it peace that year in northern France, but every man who signed it knew the truth, that what was won by longbow and by blood cannot be kept by ink and borrowed youth. The treaty is a breath between two waves of death. The Black Prince fades and words glory dims. 1369, the war begins again. The peace was always lies 100 years old, never truly died. '69, the peace lies dead. Charles V ascends the throne. He learned from every battle lost and swore he'd win this war alone. But Bertrand du Guesclin rides at his side. No more charging into English lines. Guerrilla war and patience now, and time becomes the best design. Avoid the field, take back the land. Castle by castle, grain by grain of sand, France moves like shadow through the night now. No banners, no great cavalry. Du Guesclin wins by never fighting, and England fades where it cannot see. The Black Prince dies of his disease. Edward III grows old and frail. No more heroes march their armies south, and English confidence turns pale. Du Guesclin never meets them open. He burns the fields, he raids by night, starves the garrisons, cuts the supply roads, and wins the war without the fight. The longbow cannot kill what will not charge. France reclaims her lands, both small and large. France moves like shadow through the night now. No banners, no great cavalry. Du Guesclin wins by never fighting, and England fades where it cannot see. 20 years of grinding, nameless war. Nothing like the glory days before. Castle falls, and then another, and then another. When it ends, what did we bleed that for? By 1380, when Charles finally dies, England owes only her coastal ground. All that blood at Poitiers, all those arrows, but nothing but a slow and quiet wound. Charles the Wise lies cold within his grave. Du Guesclin's bones lie with him in the earth. Everything that England took by battle, France reclaimed through patience and through worth. The bard who sang of Crecy and of Sluys now sings a darker tune beside the fire. The longbow won the field but lost the war, and patience burned ambition on its pyre. France moved like shadow through those long years. No batters, no great cavalry. Du Guesclin won by never fighting, and England learned what patience costs to see. Young Henry takes the crown. His father's guilt, his father's doubt erased. He claims what Edward won a lifetime past. The French throne is by rightful blood and faith. Negotiations fail, diplomacy is done. The ships assemble on Southampton shore. August 1415, they cross the Channel straight. The 100 Years of War opens once more. 30 years of fragile peace lie broken now. Henry brings the army, makes his vow. The English king returns to claim his name, as Edward claimed it 80 years before. shore and wakes the sleeping 100 years of war. September siege at Harford by the sea. 5 weeks to break the Norman coastal town. The dysentery takes half his men away, but Harford falls, the fleur-de-lis comes down. Once more unto the breach the young king cries. The walls come down, the coastal prize is won, but sickness leaves them weak and vulnerable, and march to Calais ere the war's begun. 8,000 men now exhausted, sick and worn. The French are gathering somewhere on the road. The English king returns to claim his name as Edward claimed it 80 years before. Henry crosses to the Norman shore and wakes the sleeping 100 years of war. French are massing 30,000 strong. They'll block the road to Calais and the sea. The men are tired, hungry, racked with disease, but Henry walks among them, speaks them free. The bard who follows in this army's wake writes down the names of those who will not come, and praise the glory justifies the price before the morning drum. The English king returns to claim his name as Edward claimed it 80 years before. October 25th, St. Crispin's Day. 8,000 face the flower of France once more. Sharpens his quill and wakes to tell the tale. October 25th, 1415. 8,000 sick men face the French array. 30,000 gleaming steel across the field, and nobody expects us to survive the day. The mud is thick, the rain has soaked us through. They laugh across the field and mock our king, but they don't know what 8,000 longbows and desperate English hunger's going to bring. On the fields of Agincourt, the arrows rose like starlings. 30,000 Frenchmen walked into the rain. 6,000 dead by sunset in the mud of northern France, and nothing will ever be the same again. They charge in waves, the horses scream and fall. Bodkin points punch through the finest plate. Knights face down and drowning in the mire. Too heavy now to rise, they suffocate. We leave our stakes and meet them with our blades. Daggers through the visors, quick and low. The flower of France dies face down in the mud. This is what the English long knows. On the fields of Agincourt, the arrows rose like starlings. 30,000 Frenchmen walked into the rain. 6,000 dead by sunset in the mud of northern France. And nothing will ever be the same again. Then Henry orders all prisoners killed. French nobles who surrender, throats are cut. The Dauphin's brothers dead, Alençon gone. This is what glory looks like in a gut. This is not the song the poets sing. The bard who stood there tells a harder truth, that war is only what is left behind. When glory strips away its borrowed youth. On the fields of Agincourt, the arrows rose like starlings. 30,000 Frenchmen walked into the rain. 6,000 dead by sunset in the mud of northern France. And Henry walked among the dead and felt the sting. Oh, this is what victory cost. This is what victory